All right. Welcome, everyone, to the 2024 West Allis Alderperson Candidate Forum for the candidates up for election on April 2nd. My name is Noah Lee, and I'm joined by my co-moderators, Jessica Katzenmeyer and Stephanie Emmons. Before we begin, we wanted to thank the candidates for joining us this evening and for running for public office. We wanted to note that Mr. Vilwalk, candidate for District 5, was invited but was unable to attend this evening. We also wanted to thank the community for submitting questions for this forum. All of the questions tonight were created from questions that were submitted by community members. Lastly, we wanted to thank the City of West Allis for allowing us to use this space for the forum, and the City Hall employees that assisted with the setup, recording, and streaming of this forum to ensure it is as accessible to as many West Allis residents as possible. The recording of this forum will be available on the city's YouTube channel, Spectrum channels 14 and 25, and AT&T channel 99, and it is being streamed live right now on all those locations as well. The candidates were provided the questions 24 hours ago, along with the following information regarding the format of this forum. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to introduce themselves. The questions will then be asked, starting with District 1, with District 2 starting the next question, and so on until all the questions are asked. Each candidate will get 1 minute to answer each question. Each candidate will have 30 seconds for a closing statement. I will ask the first 4 questions, and Ms. Emmons will ask the last 4 questions. Ms. Katzenmeyer will be keeping time. She will hold up a sign when there are 30 seconds and 10 seconds left, or only the 10-second sign for your introduction or your closing. And when the buzzer sounds, candidates must end their comments. Please stop talking when you hear that buzzer. If a candidate does not use all of their time, they are unable to cede their time to another candidate. In the interest of time, there will not be a formal break, but candidates may get up and move around briefly if necessary. Audience members are expected to keep any noise to a minimum and are not allowed to ask questions during the forum. Cheering, booing, clapping, etc. are prohibited. It is the goal of the moderators to allow time at the end of the forum for the candidates to mingle with the audience and speak with them in person. Thank you again to our candidates for attending this evening. And thank you to all those in attendance for following the guidelines to allow for maximum time for the candidates to answer those questions. Before we begin, are there any questions from the candidates about the forum format? All right. If not, we'll start with our introductions.
Thank you so much, and I want to start by saying thank you to Noah, Jessica, and Stephanie for all the work you've put into putting this together. My name is Kimberly Grove. I'm running for District 1 Alderperson. I've lived in the district for 10 years and West Allis for about 15. I'm a small business owner and a mom. My kids go to our local schools, and I think that helps bring a distinct and different voice to the council, and I really look forward to serving the people of District 1.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ray Turner. I'm currently the District 1 Alderperson. I was not voted in. I was selected to take the place of someone who had retired, who had left. But I was very happy to get the opportunity to do this. I'm a resident of West Allis for almost 34 years now, married for about the same length of time. I've worked here for that length of time, almost that length of time since I left Chicago. And I hopefully will get a lot more done next year or this year.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chad Halverson. I'm running for Alder in District 2. I'm originally from Kenosha, Wisconsin. I moved up here after high school for college. My wife and I ended up moving to West Allis 11 years ago. Ended up, being the best decision of our lives. We had that stigma when we first moved here that, oh, you're going to Dallas, dirty Dallas. Ugh. And that's not what it's like at all. And I love the energy where the city is going, and I want to help continue move that further.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marissa Noling, and I want to be your District 2 Alderperson. I'm running on a platform of prompt communication and transparency around council business. I love West Allis, and I want to be a part of shaping the future of West Allis by enthusiastically representing the community that I'm a part of. I'm excited to speak with you tonight and hope to earn your support. So again, my name is Marissa Noling, and I'm running for District 2 Alderperson.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Stefanski. I'm the current alderman for District 2. I've been on the council due to a special election in 2019, ran again in 2020, and now served my first 4-year term. In West Allis for 11 years now, and happy homeowner for 9. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jamie Arneson. I'm a West Dallas native. My educational background is in business and accounting. Professionally, I've been in leadership roles for the past decade. I'm a huge advocate for diversity and representation. I love living in West Dallas, and it's such a diverse community, and I believe that our future council should represent that.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzette Grisham. I am one of the current alderwomen representing District 3. I'm seeking re-election and hoping I can count on your vote as an invested resident who's lived here 39 years. I'm a mom of 3, a business owner for the past 20 years. I have a genuine love for this community. I bring passion, commitment, a strong voice, and more importantly, I bring experience. So I hope I can count on you for your vote.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dana Keene. I'm also currently one of the 2 alderwomen serving District 3. I currently reside on 90th and Orchard with my husband Brad and our 2 dogs. First and foremost, I'm not a politician. I'm just a resident. I want to give back to the community where I've spent my whole life. I was born at West Allis Memorial, attended Franklin Elementary, Flank Road Wright, West Allis Central, and took classes at the Wibbick Center in the Summit Building. The reason I'm running for alderwoman is simple. I love West Allis. I want to see great things happen in our city, and I really want to be a part of those conversations.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patty Novak, and I'm hoping to be your alderwoman for District 4. In the process of running an event, my husband and I began coming to council meetings. I truly enjoyed everything I was learning, and I realized very quickly that I wanted to be a part of the council. I wanted to help make the decisions. I wanted to be a part of the progress they were making in this city. I have lived here my whole life, and I hope tonight that you'll learn a little bit more about me and everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dan Roth. I'm the current 4th District Alderman, also on social media referred to, hey, why don't you call your alderman guy? I do answer my phone. I do return messages. I shared the 4th District, my co-alderman Tom Lysick here, who I learned a lot from, and I hope to return for a 5th term.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sagar, rhymes with lager, to help some of you pronounce it. Tolani. My wife and I moved to West Allis about 8 years ago, and right away I knew the community I was going to live in for basically the rest of my life. I wanted to be involved in. So I reached out to Mayor Dan Devine and got involved with the Capital Improvements Committee and the Fair Housing Board. Have loved every moment here, and look forward to sharing some of my other views with you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kevin Haas. I'm currently the alderman for District 5, which is the west side of West Allis. I've been alderman for 10 years. Prior to that, I served for 9 years on the Police and Fire Commission. My wife, Carolyn, is in back in the audience here, and our kids are seniors. They're twins, boy-girl twins, seniors at Nathan Hale High School. And I'm just happy to serve the community. I'm a West Allis guy, and we love West Allis.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marty Weigel. I'm a husband, father, grandfather, and retired small business owner. For the past 20 years, I've also served on the West Allis Common Council representing the 2nd District. When my wife and I retired and moved to the west side, I had to step down, so we now reside on the west side in the 5th District and running for a seat there. I've been out knocking on doors for the last 3 weeks, meeting the citizens, introducing myself, and getting a feel for the issues in the 5th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, so now we're beginning with the questions. Question number 1. What do you see as the biggest concern in your district, and if elected, how would you plan to address it?
District 1 has had so many positive things happening that it's sometimes hard to think about what's negative. Our biggest problem, I think, probably has to do with traffic and reckless driving. Having 60th Street, National, and Greenfield, and all the people who move through West Allis on that side of town, and the reckless driving that's been plaguing almost every place in Wisconsin, as far as I can tell, becomes a big issue in our neighborhoods and for the safety of our children. But it also brings a lot of people through our area and to our businesses and restaurants. So it's an opportunity that we just need to rein in and look for ways to make those streets safer. The flock cameras were a great start, but more bump outs and consequences for the reckless driving is probably necessary, and to advocate for that in the future.
Like my partner here just said, or potential partners just said, traffic is a problem in our city, not just on the east side, but all over the city. And one of the things that's happening with so much construction is that we're using calming methods, such as the bump outs. People might not think the green lines and the red sections are yellow on the ground, but that helps people look at it and say, something's wrong, slow down. It's just a little bit extra to make people think twice before they speed up over the speed limit. And we have to also look at some of the laws. Luckily, we're trying to do something with the laws now, because some people are just going to drive because they think no one's going to say anything about it. Luckily, things are happening, changes are being made, so hopefully that'll work. We'll see very soon.
I guess I'll keep the theme going. Traffic and pedestrian safety are definitely my biggest concerns. All of our neighborhood friends have families, we all have kids, we all like to hang out on the deck, especially when it's nice out. And the last thing we like is a car rolling down at 50 miles an hour. Like, it freaks us out. It's not cool. I don't like it. I don't want my kids to have to deal with it, nor do I want you to have to deal with it. So measures like traffic calming, focus on pedestrian safety, like, these are key issues to me. Police presence and law enforcement are great, but we really have to hammer home traffic calming measures if we really want this to work. Working with city engineers to renovate, old infrastructure, support healthy pedestrian access, and then make sure everything is ADA compliant.
So in the course of knocking over 1,600 doors in District 2, residents are telling me that the biggest challenge is communication. It's both communication with current elected officials and the community. So what I commit to is continuing the transparent and frequent communication that I've been doing through this campaign on my Alderman site. On my social media, I provide things like a simple and clear explanation for each resolution and ordinance that comes before Common Council, and I explain how it affects our community. I also provide information about city services. We have a lot of things offered through the health department. I advertise events like the fire department fundraiser that was recently held. If elected, I'll give you space to voice your opinion on these issues that affect our community. I will continue this clear and transparent communication. I also commit to providing an explanation for my vote. As your representative, you deserve to know my reason for the vote on council issues.
The biggest concern I hear from constituents the most is crime. They are concerned that crime is creeping in from Milwaukee, and they are correct. I talk to my constituents that reach out to me on ways to prevent themselves from being a victim. I always stress that neighbors need to get to know each other and watch out for each other. If you see anything suspicious, you do not hesitate to call the police. As a common council, we approve the funding for the flock cameras that catches stolen vehicles coming in and out of our city. This helps the West Allis PD many times intercept potential crimes before they happen. I continue to work with the West Allis PD regarding potential crimes such as drug dealing, drug houses, and nuisance properties on a regular basis. You cannot just sit back and let things happen. We all need to work together to take our streets and our neighborhoods back from criminals.
So District 3 is a very residential district. We have the corridors of Greenfield and National. Some of the concerns, we could bring variety of businesses to those corridors. But mostly I would like to focus on getting more of a community involvement in that residential district. When the strategic plan came out a couple of years ago. Strategic priority number 3 was citizen engagement, and I'd really like to focus on that. I think that West Dallas as a whole does a really good job of that. People are really excited about like Food Truck Fridays and a la carte and Winter Week and things like that. But I think in our district, we're a little bit lacking. We have great neighborhood alliances like Conrad Gardens and Rose Hill, and there's talk about doing a La Follette Park Neighborhood Association, but I think that we can do better, and that starts with outreach, education, and communication.
Thanks for the question. One of the biggest concerns in District 3 that we deal with mostly is kind of the theme that we've been listening to, which is public safety. Reckless driving has been running rampant on the streets, and we really need to continue to do what we can to get a handle on it. I want a neighborhood that our children and residents have safe crossings, and not one that you fear when you enter a controlled intersection or try to cross the street, that the driver behind the wheel ignores what the sign is saying. I don't think there's a singular solution. However, in my tenure, we've focused on stricter enforcement, investment in flock cameras, and we've put focus on infrastructure changes by implementing traffic calming measures throughout the city. One of the things that Alderwoman Keene and I are currently working on with engineering and DPW is to pilot an initiative to create safe crossings in the community. This by incorporating artwork, inspired crosswalks in school zones and park crossings. Studies have shown that drivers will slow down with these visual cues, which not only offers a unique feature,
Thank you.
but to be continued.
One major focus for me is to get the redevelopment project of St. Al's completed. It is a very large property that has been off the tax roll for a very long time. Currently where it sits blighted and not bringing in much tax revenue. So one main focus is to work with department heads to really get that project across the finish line. As it's been said, speeding and reckless driving is another concern, not just for D3, but citywide. I think we need to look at more fluid traffic calming measures. And then I think there are some items we can build upon, such as more utilization of community events at Reservoir Park. I would love to see a neighborhood associated created in every part of D3 where there currently isn't one. Building on these two items are going to help build a stronger sense of community. It'll also give residents the option to meet their neighbors, which in turn automatically helps you look out for your neighbors. When you look out for your neighbors, there tends to be less crime. So if we can just be a little bit more neighborly and utilize the spaces that we already have within D3.
Thank you.
Safety, like you've heard, is a concern. It's not just for District 4, but it's the city as a whole. The council has taken great steps with this, but there's more that can be done. The addition of the flock cameras have been extremely useful, and I would advocate for even more of them going forward. Community engagement, as many have said, is also essential. Building relationships and trust between citizens and law enforcement, as well as mutual support amongst our neighbors. I know Tracy touched on that. It's so important. We need to pay attention and know what is going on in our neighborhoods so that we can keep one another safe. I would also advocate for funds that provide youth activities and programs so that we can help our youth go down a good path and lead them to be great adults. Thank you.
Thank you.
Surprise, I have speeding too. The 4th District, fortunately, does not have, or does have, a lot of owner-occupied housing, so we don't have the other problems that other districts have with the non-owner occupied housing. But getting back to the speeding, it is a problem. And we happen to have one of the racetracks going right through the center of our district, Beloit. And it's probably the most heavily radared street in the city, according to Chief Mitchell. And part of the question is, how would you plan to address this? Well, we're always doing radar patrol there, always, 24/7. Well, maybe not the 7 part, but 24 hours you can see radar somewhere hiding off of Beloit Street. Also, again, how do you plan to address it? Well, we're doing the traffic calming on any new street that we have, and I'm getting beeped, so I won't finish my second sentence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's always a cop on 74th and Beloit. I live 3 blocks from there, so.
See, I thought I was lying.
One of the main issues and one of the key points I've focused on during my campaign while talking to voters is about building strong neighborhoods. And we are a very residential district, just like D3. But at the same time, we have empty properties and we have great opportunities to build things like the food truck park that's in progress. That gets neighbors together, get to know each other, especially as younger families move into the city. And then that leads them to be involved more in their neighborhood. The city provides for grants and staff time to build neighborhood associations. So that's something that we can definitely work on in D4. Thank you.
Thank you.
My concern is development and redevelopment. We've been very successful in redevelopment in our city as we've turned from a very industrial suburb to trying to be the cool place to attract people with entertainment, nightlife, hotspots like that. Redevelopment in the terms of having, nice market rate, higher end apartments that are sprouting up all over the city. I've served and continue to serve on the Community Development Authority. With that, our city can be a leader and has to continue to be a leader with redevelopment, but quality redevelopment. There still is more to be done. The Kearney and Trecker property at 67th and National, Alderwoman Keene mentioned St. Al's. Yes, it always takes time. We need to stay on it.
Thank you.
I think Alderman Haas is reading off my
Yeah.
list here. Yeah, economic development, redeveloping properties. So the 5th district includes all of Highway 100. And there's a lot of stuff there, big box stores, small stuff, old factories. And with the changes in the economy brought on by the pandemic, we're still seeing shifts in uses for some of those properties. And development, sensible redevelopment, I think that whenever we are working on projects, we should look at increasing taxable value, creating living wage jobs, and well, that's the two big things, and interesting things there on the property, so that we get the highest, best use out of these properties that get redeveloped, especially when the city is participating in the redevelopment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this question, we're going to start with District 2, Mr. Halverson. Like many cities across America, municipal budgets are getting tighter each year. If elected, how would you work with your colleagues to address competing budget priorities?
It's a good question. Thank you. Just like any city, municipal services are a key function of how we get by day to day. We don't live in the country, we live in the city. And yes, budgets are always going to be tight, but there is always money out there. Whether it's block grants, whether it's state funding, federal funding, there's always somebody that's got money out there. I didn't mention this at the top, but I'm a filmmaker. I beg for money for a living to make films. So if I need to go state, federal, and be like, please, I'll do whatever, that's my jam. We could also look for partnerships with other municipalities. Recently, the City Council just approved establishing a multiple municipal health department with the City of Greenfield. Budgets are going to be contentious, but there's always solution with solid partnerships with other municipalities.
Thank you.
This was a great question. So I would work through the competing budget priorities by first working with my colleagues. We're going to do basic things like practice open and respectful communication and being willing to make compromises. But the question that would guide my personal decision-making is, will this help West Allis become a better community? When we're setting budget priorities, it's important to invite the experts that want that budget into the room and have them justify the cost. So for an example, in the 2024 budget, money was requested to expand the flock camera system that we've heard so much about tonight. Data was provided. These are shown to make West Allis a safer community. In an 8-month period, the flock cameras led to 480 calls for service, 125 citations, and 70 arrests. They work. The flock camera system budget passes the test. The test being, does this make West Allis a safer and better community? We need to use that test on every piece of our budget.
Thank you.
Every year, the city budget is different, and we as alderpersons look at the budget and recommend where things need to be changed. I meet with the city administrator during budget time when I have questions and concerns about where our money is allocated. We talk it over and come to compromises. I'm only allowed to talk with a couple of colleagues outside of the Common Council. Otherwise, we break the walking quorum law rules, which is illegal. We come together every year as a committee of the whole to work out the budget then together. We then work together to try to come to an agreement on the budget so it can get approved. And I will continue to do that process every time I'm working on a budget.
Thank you.
So in terms of a budget in and of itself, I plan on leveraging my accounting background to look at the budget, reduce wasteful spending, and eliminate any redundancies as we can. But in terms of the competing budget priorities, I don't think of this as a negative thing. There is strength in diversity, and it's a good thing to have a group of people that have unique ideas, different backgrounds, and different opinions. There's going to be some disagreement, but I think that in that uniqueness, we can come together respectfully and make the most educated decisions. At the end of the day, the Common Council is here to make decisions that benefit the community as a whole, and I think that we can do that together.
Thank you.
This is a great question. Our Common Council is comprised of 10 members, all with unique perspectives, all with certain skill sets that come together. The budget is always something that we put a huge amount of focus on. But I believe collectively, we as a council, we have a realistic grasp on what budget priorities are. So it's a loaded question for a lot of people, but as most municipalities, we're facing immense challenges due to budget constraints. So face it, nobody really wants taxes to be increased, but nobody in turn wants to lose services. So we have to find creative ways for our spending. So ultimately, we just need to make some tough decisions sometimes and prioritize for the betterment of the city and not just the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
With the state expenditure restraints and how share revenue is divided, it's even more important that we work together at a city level. In my opinion, first priority should always be what has the highest impact that benefit the most residents. I think that safety and city services should always be at the top of that priority list. And then we really need to take into consideration what is a need to have versus a nice to have. Depending on who you ask, there's never just going to be one correct answer. So, which is why having an open mind and an open line of communication is so important. At the end of the day, the main focus has to always be what is in the best interests of the city and the residents that live here.
Thank you.
Like any budget, you have to prioritize what is needed most. We need to use our data to know where things need to be trimmed, but still ensure that we maintain our services that are crucial to our city. I would work to see a strong focus of our budget directed at our law enforcement services and making our community safer. This would include continued budgeting to make our streets safer, with higher visibility crosswalks, continued bump outs, and the pedestrian islands. This in turn will lead to more people wanting to make West Allis their home.
Thank you.
The mayor's budget pretty much is ongoing throughout the whole year. I think we all hear the word budget throughout the year, at least once a month. But it actually gets going in June when the mayor calls all the director heads to gather their numbers and things like that. We, as the council, we've started to help out with the budget with shared services with other cities. We bought a vacuum cleaner this, I think, past year, and we're going to share it with Wauwatosa and Greenfield to vacuum up all the pervious parking places that you're seeing throughout the city. Also, on Tuesday, we just signed an agreement with the city of Greenfield to share our health department services, so that's going to be a big cut or a plus for our budget as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for that question. No, I think it really comes down to modernizing our services. So it's great that, you know, we are in 2024, but a lot of the services we use, or like trucks we use to pick up trash, are still from 40 years ago. When trash is picked up, last year on the Capital Improvements Committee, we approved a budget item to discount the trash cans so people could switch from the lift up blacktop trash cans to standardize it for everyone. Not everybody has switched to that, And what happens with that is we have a lot of workers' comp claims from injuries from workers. So if we give that incentive to residents, then we need to enforce it. And when we enforce it, we can make sure that we are trimming our budget by not having injuries we're paying for.
Thank you.
So West Allis is like every city in our state where we have state-imposed levy limits, which limit how much we can increase the levy, how much we can spend every year based on only net new construction, nothing else. While at the same time, everything that we do costs more. Wages go up, expenses go up, everything goes up. We're dealing with inflation, which every family is dealing with in their budget. So how do we continue to provide the same services is the problem. And, well, stay tuned. It's a never-ending struggle.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Kevin hit the nail on the head, but I think there's a couple things that people don't understand about how the city spends its money and where we get it from. He touched on taxes. We've been adding permit fees where possible without being too onerous. One thing, state fair, okay? I love the fair. I think everybody in the room probably does too. But our payment for municipal services that we get from the state for the services that our taxpayers provide for the fair to have a safe, fun fair, public works, police, fire, health, the payment we get back from the state for that doesn't come anywhere near matching that. So we should be bugging our representatives, and I have been bugging our representatives in Madison for an equitable answer here on this, because we want to keep the fair here. We want it to be safe, but it shouldn't be a burden on everybody in the city of West Allis. And I don't want to touch public safety at all. I think we should fully fund our PD.
Thank you.
Well, as everybody's been saying, it's all about, prioritizing and compromise. And of course, it's seeing a small business through the pandemic. I know all about, playing with the numbers and trying to get things to balance and work out. I think you have to look at it from both sides. Obviously, what serves the most amount of residents and makes the most amount of sense, but not giving up those small things either that give us our flavor and that serve smaller pockets of our community as well. So you have to leave room for a little bit of that. I think there's definitely room for streamlining things, whether it's working with other municipalities and combining services or getting rid of those redundancies. Is a really great start. And looking at capital improvements, bringing in more businesses and residents that help with the tax base is obviously going to help with that other side of the seesaw there.
Thank you.
Like everyone said, the safety of our residents is the most important thing, and that's the number one item that we have to use our money for. We look at other things, though, such as the different projects that we're working on. I'm lucky. I'm able to work with some of the people from the city, and I'm gonna tell you, we have some of those talented people that find money from places I don't know where they got it from, but they found it. And we're able to do things and make things happen in the city, such as for our parks. You look around, we have some of the best parks in anywhere. I come from Chicago. I couldn't believe it when I came here. And they did it with just money that we could scrape up through historical grants, all kinds of different grants. But our number one priority is the safety of our people in the city, and we'll never bend on that.
All right, thank you very much. So question 3, we're going to start with District 3. If elected, how would you address properties that create health and safety concerns, such as not clearing sidewalks of snow or having items that attract rodents?
So we definitely have a rodent problem in West Allis, especially after some of the factories were torn down. They didn't have anywhere else to go. And I think that the first step is communication. we're not an HOA. We're not here to punish or penalize our citizens. So I think that the first thing we need to do is talk to people, and we may not know their circumstances. It could be a disabled person or a senior with no family to help them. So if we educate them about the community services, like the senior center has a Snow Angels program that I participated in a couple of years ago, and we can educate them about what's available for that help. And I'm not saying that there aren't people that don't take advantage, and in that case, there's warnings, citations. We could even have a DPW crew set aside to do the service and bill back to the homeowner.
Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, it's really important to understand how health and safety issues are addressed in the city. And I'm going to give you a real literal response here. There are set policies and legalities involving all violations of ordinances. The literal answer to the question is that the council sets the policy and the law, and the departments and city staff enforce these ordinances. On a broader perspective, Alderwoman Keene and I have worked real closely with the community, code enforcement, health department to address blighted properties, combat rodent issues, enforce building code violations, and ultimately educate the residents in how we all play an active part to find the solution. It begins with personal accountability, in my opinion. We all have properties, we have sidewalks. Shovel your sidewalks, maintain your property, take pride in your community. There are special circumstances where maybe your neighbor does need help. Get out there and help them. Simple as that.
Thank you.
I think this really depends on the situation. As an example, if we're talking about snow removal, lawn maintenance, I think first we need to be neighborly. Is there a reason a neighbor can't clear the snow, mow the lawn? Could it be that they're elderly, have a disability or an injury that impacts them from completing that task? If that is the case, then we as neighbors should step up and help out when we can. When it comes to rats, this has been a topic that Alderwoman Grisham and I have taken seriously for the last 4 years. As they say, the first step was admitting we had a problem. Then what we need to do is education sharing so we can talk and all work to resolve the issue. Then when needed, getting the proper departments involved. We have a highly educated staff that specialize in certain areas such as rats and city ordinances. So we need to let them do what they do best. If you reach out with an issue, I'll ensure to collaborate and lean on the resources that we have available to us.
Thank you.
First, I think we need to work on raising awareness of the importance of maintaining our properties, whether they're businesses or homes. Maintaining our sidewalks, especially through our icy winter months, has to be a priority for every home and every business. And unfortunately, with the snow coming tomorrow, we're all going to be reminded of that. Regulations for trash must be enforced. Like was said, the council comes up with them, but then the code enforcement and every other department has to make sure those are enforced, to help our ongoing rodent issue. Further, I think we need to promote education on how to address the rodent problem. We can do this through mailers, public service announcements, and as stated before, also making sure that the complaints are followed up on. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to jump back for 10 seconds to something Alderman Weigel said. State fair costs us 9 cents per $1,000 of assessed value of each home. So that's something to think about. I'll get back on Point Road. Yes, keeping your lawns looking nice and shoveling your sidewalks and things like that are definitely annoying when we get to calls. I, for one, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago, we used to be 5 days to mow your lawn, and I sponsored the ordinance to get it down to 72 hours, and it seems to be working out fairly well. The rat concerns, it's here, it's everywhere. I would urge everybody in this room to go on what they call at the health department, a rat patrol, and you get back into these yards and everything, and you go, holy cow. So that would be a problem, and we are working on it. We're very active in it, and I didn't even see the 10 seconds. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Turn off your thing, Ro.
It sneaks up on you. So to my earlier point about building strong neighborhoods, if neighbors know each other and help out each other, this would be less of a problem. And secondly, to the point of court enforcement. I know myself, I have a neighbor right behind me who refuses to put out his trash can and will put out a bag every week that still gets picked up. So where's the code enforcement there? And when the Common Council passes codes, they need to be fully enforced. Obviously, after a warning, after multiple warnings. I know Alderman Rhodes pretty good at going out there and giving people warnings about their lawns not being mowed, but that should be staff's job, and that will help start tackling some of the rodent issues we have in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we can all be sympathetic to somebody who might have a challenge temporarily, perhaps, in maintaining their property, but being a homeowner comes with responsibilities, and you need to maintain those maintain your home. You have to accept those responsibilities, especially with regard to rental properties in our city where we have absentee landlords who are just interested in making money, and spending time on property maintenance is something that they're trying to avoid. That's where our Department of Code Enforcement comes in. We need a strong Department of Code Enforcement, and we do have that. And also it comes with neighbors who call their alderman. That's part of our job. That's one thing that we get lots of calls on, are neighborhood issues like that. And folks can know, call your alderman, and we know who to go to, and we can make things happen. That's part of our job.
Thank you.
And on that call to the alderman, oftentimes your neighbor is a friend of yours, you have a beer together, barbecue, your kids go to school, but there's still a little bit of a mess. It's always been my policy, if your neighbor's a problem, but you don't want to put your name on the complaint, feel free to call me. I will go confirm that it's an issue, and my name will go on the complaint. Because sometimes people are worried about retribution or ruining a relationship with a neighbor, and you don't have to do that. That's something I think any of us would do, but it's something I've been doing for 20 years. Also, if you think your house next door has been foreclosed on, abandoned, or the people have booked on it, call your alderman, let us know. There are cases where the neighbor shoveled the snow, and we never know that the house is empty all winter long, and the heat gets shut off, and the pipes freeze, and now the whole house is junk. If you think a house in your neighborhood is empty, call us and let us know, and we'll get code enforcement on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's definitely starts with personal responsibility and education, so that homeowners and residents know the proper things to do and what the codes are, so that if later on they are hit with enforcement, that's not a surprise to them. I do like the idea of calling your alderperson and having them be the go-betweens to keep, the neighborhood calm and peaceful, and you don't want to necessarily, confront that person. That makes complete sense to me. If a place is continuing to be a problem, you can always look at further enforcement citations, invoice them, if it needs to be taken care of by the city itself. But I really think it's taking personal responsibility and helping out your neighborhood. I know coming up in May, there's neighborhood cleanup. I encourage everybody to, lend a hand on that day and clean up our city and be part of the solution instead of the problem.
Thank you.
When I first started on the council, the first thing it was in the wintertime, and the first thing that came up was about cleaning up, about rats and snow removal. And I found out something after reading through some of the reports. When I would ask someone, is it garbage next door to you? And they say, yes. Where did the rabbit go? I mean, not the rabbit, but rabbits too, but where did the rat go? It went next door. Okay, one of the things is we are cleaning up clean our garbage up. Big thing. And I have called many times and made sure that we got the garbage cleaned up. And if you can get that taken care of, you have standing water, people have little pools around. That's another thing. We just have to talk to our neighbors, tell them to get rid of it. And if we can't do that, like Marty was saying, then we can get other people to help out with that as well. But prevent the problem from occurring.
Thank you.
Look, as cool as it is to have a pumpkin melting on your front porch, New Year's Day, it looks really cool. but it leaves a nice little snack for the rats, rabbits, everything else that's kind of hanging out here. And of course, not clearing your snow puts lives in danger. And yes, there should be monetary penalties attached to that. And it's a common theme here, but be a neighbor first. Check out the neighbor. Maybe they have a bad back. Maybe, they had a surgery. Go there and find out if you can solve the problem first, or maybe somebody else in the neighborhood can solve the problem first. And then if that doesn't work, then come to me. I can go knock on the door. I don't mind taking the heat. I don't mind going like, yo, I almost slipped on your front porch. That's not cool. I'm always a be friendly first type person before enforcing something. That's just how I roll.
Thank you.
So I would address properties that create health and safety concerns by partnering, of course, with code enforcement to make sure that the ordinance that we currently have are followed and that the complaints are addressed in a timely manner. Code enforcement is simply a critical city service. I agree with Chad in the fact that I take a empathy first approach. So I would work with our citizens who are having habitual issues complying with code. Visiting these citizens and having a conversation with them will lead you to understand the true root cause of what's going on. That non-compliance with code is sometimes a symptom of a bigger or a different problem. Maybe it's mobility issues or even mental health issues that need assistance. We have so many community resources and city services that are available to help. That face-to-face conversation can help us identify what our neighbors need.
Thank you.
This is something I deal with on a regular basis. It's our job as an alderperson to work with the Building Inspection and Neighborhood Services Department when we have houses or businesses that do not comply with shoveling. If it's because a constituent is an elderly person, I work with the department and their neighbors to try to get them assistance that they need. If it's a business, they get issued a citation if it's not shoveled. A good example is what happened just recently when I went to go get my hair cut by Alderwoman Grisham's shop. The dental office on the corner had not shoveled during our storm, and it was piled up and you couldn't even walk on it. I contacted our department the next day, right? The next day they came out and shoveled it and got it completely cleaned up. As far as the rat problem is concerned, I work with Ben's department and the health department to get the issue resolved quickly. They go to these properties and work with the residents to get it resolved as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. All right, our fourth question will start with District 4. Communication between elected officials and their constituents is very important. If elected, how would you ensure your constituents are aware of what is happening at City Hall?
Thank you. I would use all avenues to make sure that everyone has access to the ongoings at City Hall and in our city in general, including utilizing social media, promoting our city's webpage and all it has to offer, because I don't think people truly realize what is all available on there, and also working with local businesses and schools to have them help share the information and the resources as well. I also believe that having the information in a multilingual format is very important because, as it was discussed at this past week's council meeting, we do have a very evolving diversity in our city. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, all of us up here have hit the pavement with our literature for this campaign, and so maybe we need to do some of that to share the information and resources that our city has. Thank you.
Thank you.
I must say I'm always in communication with my constituency, just about everything that's happening, and I think there's people in this room that'll vouch for me on that. I'm always not just taking the incoming calls, but having outgoing calls, and one of the prime examples was this past week. People in the neighborhood were always concerned about 7534 West Beloit, the old Sir Greg's, and I get a call from this person, once every 6 months. What's going on there? We saw a surveyor there. We saw a dumpster there. We saw this, that. And I said, if I hear anything, I'll call you guys. Well, then I heard something, that there was an applicant for that particular license, and it was going to be on the 4th of this past month. I called them. I said, no, it was canceled. It's going to be the 19th. And they showed up last Tuesday in force, and it went down 10-0, the tavern license. So I do communicate with my constituency.
Thank you.
So when it comes to communication, whenever I talk to residents at doors, West Allis, our average age is quickly decreasing. Currently, it's at about 38 and a half. It's supposed to be 35 in the next 20 years. So when we have younger residents, we need to know, we, as older people, need to know how to communicate with them. So whenever I talk to a constituent at the door, I always say, here's my email, here's my phone, you can call or text, and here's my Facebook page. Facebook, Instagram, we need to know where our constituents are at and meet them there instead of them meeting us where we're at. As far as keeping them up to date, having a monthly newsletter, having, we on capital improvements did a lot of work trying to modernize our city's website. It's still clunky. We could still definitely use a better website.
Thank you.
Okay, regarding communication, who remembers what a newspaper used to be? The West Allis Star, remember that?
Enterprise.
Yeah, the Enterprise as well, right. And so things have changed. And so where we used to have newspapers covering us, and that was our conduit of getting information out, getting communication out, now we have to be more proactive as a city, as a municipal government, through our communications department and getting out to people through social media outlets and finding people where they are. And so I think our communications department is very good at that, and we just have to continue that. Sagar mentioned the newsletter. We used to have the crappiest newsletter, as one color, just the same thing every time. Now it's a magazine type with lots of colors. It looks really neat. It's something we can be proud of. That's just an example of improved communication and getting out to people.
Thank you.
We have a professional full-time communications department, and they're helping produce this forum today, the staff from that. So all of our meetings are covered live and recorded and available on our YouTube channel. So you can actually see the conversations that are had. We have a text alert systems. If you can get subscribed to and get text alerts on various topics of city relevance. So I think we're doing a very good job. I just want to make sure we don't forget my mother-in-law, who still wants a newspaper. Now, clearly, the days of a reporter covering things is over, so we do have the newsletter yet, and we will probably have that forever, but it is important that we are all available. I was the first alderman to put his personal cell phone number on his business card, and one of the aldermen sitting next to me said, they're going to call you. I said, yes, I hope they do.
Thank you.
Communication is a two-way street. I want to hope that the constituents of District 1 will feel welcome to reach out to me and to any of their alder people with their concerns. As far as communicating with them, I think social media and the text alerts are really kind of the newest way to be able to stay in contact with people. The city's website is a good resource, but some people aren't comfortable with that and getting the information in their hands in the best way possible. I would be always open to attending meetings with our neighborhood associations. District 1 is really lucky to have two very active neighborhood associations who have regular meetings and to gather with neighbors there. And maybe if it's something of great importance, putting up some signage or notification at community gathering spots like coffee shops and breweries and grocery and things like that, so that it's right there in their faces in a multilingual fashion if it's something of great importance to the community.
Thank you.
I was talking to some junior members of the council and asked them about, well, we're using Facebook. We don't use that, Ray. Okay, I was using X. We don't use that either. We're learning now that there's other ways of getting that communication out to people. And we have in one of the neighborhood associations, we have young people who are using those methods to get that information out. The other thing is, when I go out to a restaurant or anything in my district, I introduce myself. I sometimes give my card. I don't do it so I get a free cookie or anything. I do it because I want them to know that their alderman is participating and supporting their business. And also, if they need some help, they know that they can go over there and talk to me about it. So that's what's important, that personal thing right there that we have to do.
Thank you.
Social media is obviously a great tool to get your message out, tell me when the next bake sale is happening, what school's doing this. I'm not a person that's like really into social media anymore. So for me, going out to like Beecher Street and hitting up Beecher Street and Meats and then going to the cheese shop and going to the bake sale, I'd just rather say hi to you, hang out maybe for a minute, talk about what's going on, rather than to get this peer-to-peer discourse that happens on a computer or your cell phone. I'm a very personable guy. So in my line of work, my phone is always on 24/7. So you can email me, you can text me, you can call me. That's the way I communicate. And I'd rather very much get a call to say, hey, let's meet up and discuss this issue, rather than go tit for tat online.
Thank you.
So I do believe that one of the core responsibilities of an alderperson is to communicate with citizens. And I feel like I've done a very good job of that through the campaign. Again, if you look at my social media, I am providing explanations for each ordinance and resolution that's coming to Common Council and explaining how it affects our lives in the community. However, there is certainly room to expand. Like Chad, not everybody is a social media user. So there is a place for those emailed newsletters, and perhaps we can introduce an Alderman's Corner in that quarterly newsletter. I also think it would be great to introduce at least a quarterly event so that you can come and get coffee with your alder people, grab a beer with your alder people. And then I agree with Chad, we should be present in the community. Simply being out and about is the best way to get to know our community. And it's not hard to do in D2, right? We have downtown West Allis. We have the Beecher Street development. We've got State Fair Park. D2 has the coolest things to do.
Thank you.
Communication is always important, and and constituents have ways of finding out what's happening at City Hall. They can always attend the meetings in person or watch online. They also receive a quarterly newsletter in the mail. They can follow the city on social media also. I do not live on social media, as many of my constituents, I'm finding out, do not either. I tend to go out and meet people in person, go out to the shops around the area in District 2, and spend my time talking to people there. We cannot afford to send out communication to every household after every meeting either. I've been trying for the entire time I've been on this Common Council to get a page on a city website for the mayor and each alderperson so they can share what is going on. This is just like when you go to the state website and find your representative and senator. I work in IT for my day job, and I know this is possible. I'm going to continue to push for this, as I feel this is the best way to communicate with the most possible number of constituents.
Thank you.
I think when it comes to communication, the key is to over-communicate. We have an incredibly diverse community, and that ranges from ages, ethnicities, disabilities, genders, and communication is received differently for different people. I think that if we want to reach the largest audience, we need to over-communicate on all social media platforms. We need to do mailers, magazines, be on community boards and open forums, wherever we can. There's a really good opportunity to collaborate with neighborhood associations, the library, all of the organizations within West Allis. I think that we need to publish in multiple languages. And most importantly, I think that we need to make sure that we as alder people are available to our constituents. And the most important thing is that we're transparent and we're keeping that open line of communication.
Thank you.
Communication. No one has ever accused this girl here of not talking enough. Communication for me begins with transparency. A well-informed community produces civic engagement, which I feel is very invaluable. I personally use social media platforms to engage our constituents and the community to share information. However, I prefer to pick up the phone. I prefer to sit down with you and have a face-to-face conversation. However, collectively as a city, I think we're doing a great job. Speaking of the website, we have a new communications director. It's going to get revamped to make it as user-friendly as possible. But if we think about other platforms, we have Facebook, Nextdoor, Instagram, Twitter. We have direct mailings of quarterly newsletters, which are available in print and online. We live stream council meetings. You can sign up for email and text alerts on all things West Allis, whether it be city events, DPW alerts, and everything in between. So if you don't know about it, come see me, I'll tell you.
Thank you.
As stated, there are many tools we have. Social media, the city website, the newsletter, the city YouTube channel, most importantly, the Notify Me subscription. However, not everyone knows about these tools. So I ensure when a constituent reaches out to me that I provide as much information as I can, along with helping to educate them so they can find the information in the future or receive future communications. I know it's cliche, but I believe in the saying, give a person a fish, they eat for a day. Teach a person to fish, they can eat for a lifetime. One item that I've strongly advocated for and pushed for is more utilization of garbage tags, as it is cost effective and ensures that every house in the city that has a garbage bin receives that information. I also plan to work closely with our communications departments to see where the inefficiencies are and where we can better streamline communication.
Thank you very much.
Luckily, the microphones bend. All right, we're going to start with District 5 going forward. How would you encourage businesses to continually invest in West Allis?
Yeah, so right across the street from us, right across Greenfield Avenue, is Perspective Brewing Company. And do you remember what was there before? It was John's Shoe Service, and while I'm sure John was a dear, sweet man, his name was Joe, Marty just tells me. Who knew? But that business was crap. It was I'm glad. Okay, yeah. Anyhow, I'm glad that he had the opportunity to sell his business and make it nicer. And I realize I just said crap for the second time tonight too. Anyhow, that is a shining example of what we have there now. It's a great facade. The old original facade was revealed, and it's an entertainment destination I think that we can all be proud of, and we all know what used to be there. That's just a great example of what the city can do.
Yeah, so the city has multiple programs to help small businesses, especially. We have facade improvement grants. We have forgivable loans based on job creation. We do loans for equipment for a new business. And these are generally targeted for small businesses that we'd like to see move into the city. As a former small business owner, I will tell you that at one time we had the image among contractors as worst Allis. Our inspection department was known as being overly harsh and restrictive, but I'm going to say in the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a sea change in that, and I know that it's much easier to get contractors. And one thing I want to touch on is public safety again. If a business doesn't feel safe staying here, they won't. Our police department responds to shoplifting calls. A lot of police departments don't even bother. Oh, shoplifting, we're not going to bother. And I've talked to Chief Mitchell about that. I'm very happy to support that. He says, yeah, we want our stores to feel safe and profitable here.
I don't know if this is really an old adage, but success begets success. So the more that we can support local businesses that are already finding growth, that's going to encourage other businesses. West Allis has done some really great things as far as redevelopment and changing over old properties to new life, and we need to continue to do that and give businesses opportunities to expand into those places. I was really proud, and one of the ways I got involved in the city of West Allis is when they became a Kiva city, where we're able to provide these loans and opportunities to small businesses. I was really proud of our city for being a part of that and one of the first cities to become one. So I think the redevelopment and continuing to support and provide these opportunities and loans that the city already does to our businesses is just going to bring them in. If you build it, they will come. If we have the citizens and the engagement and successful businesses, more will join them.
We can encourage business to invest in West Allis very easy. The thing is, encourage the right businesses. Do we need a fifth bar on the block? Probably not. But could we use that space for entertainment venue? Could we use it for, Beecher Street is the perfect example of that. You can go over there, you can get ice cream, flat burgers are great, guys, go over there, okay? Those are the things that we need to do, to find the right businesses for that area. And usually, we can. And if we have to have that place empty for just a little while, fine. But we're not gonna just make it do anything just to get a business in place.
Consumers and businesses have always been intertwined. One cannot exist without the other. That's just how consumerism works. Some businesses are small and may not be, some businesses are small and may be able to contribute to our neighborhoods in other ways, like hosting an event or, sponsoring a softball team. These small businesses are not the root of the issue. At the core, they are invested due to its very nature of being small. So they're a small business, they are invested in this community. My issue is with a multi-million-dollar company coming in here, giant company A's like, we want to build this giant thing. It's like, okay, can you also maybe build a park next to it or a spot for maybe a food truck can go? So in 25 years, when you're like, oh, well, we don't make money here anymore later, there's not just an empty building and an empty parking lot there for us to have to fill.
So you'll notice that I'm very much a relationship first kind of candidate. So when I think about how do we get businesses to invest, we form a relationship with those business owners. When a business owner has a friendly community advocate like an alderperson to reach out to when they're having challenges, they're going to be more invested in our community because it's easy to be here. I would also bring attention to the wonderful financial resources that the city offers, like the forgivable loans up to $50,000. This and similar programs make it attractive to not only come to West Allis, but to stay in West Allis. And then I'd like to help our community invest in the businesses so that the communities invest back in us. During the early days of the pandemic, we had weekly cash mobs at local restaurants. I have found some of my most favorite restaurants from that cash mob event. And I believe those cash mob events are a reason that almost every restaurant featured is still operating in West Allis today. I want to bring that back to District 2.
West Allis has had a reputation for being difficult to start or expand a business in due to regulations the city requires of businesses. It has gotten a lot better over the years. There is always room for improvement, though. I will continue to work with businesses existing or wanting to come and invest in West Allis so they can have a pleasant experience in the city, which in turn will want them to continue investing in West Allis and continuing to grow their business. Great example was when Avant-Garde, when I was early in my first term, Avant-Garde wanted to expand and move to the corner from where they were next to George Webb's. And I get a call from the owner and he's like, I can't get this stuff approved through the city because they're giving me a hard time over a wall. First thing I did was call the people that he was having a hard time with, discussed it with them, got it worked out, and a week later they were open. So I'll continue to do that.
Hey, Tracy, did you get a tax?
No. I do have some, but no, I didn't.
Ms. Nowling, would you mind turning off the microphone real quick? Oh, thank you. Thank you.
In terms of businesses in West Allis, we really need to create a symbiotic relationship. They bring in customers and revenue to the city, and we need to be here for them too. Whether that's incentivizing through collaboration, having events that feature the businesses, we can have shop local promotions, features in city newsletters and websites, and small business Saturdays. Basically, we need to help them by promoting the heck out of them. We want them to succeed because if they succeed, the city also succeeds.
Great response. You should check out the bid. They do that.
Yes.
I would speak as a small business owner of 20 years in this community that I can really relate to what Marty said. We have made advancements like crazy. I am a strong proponent for small business and economic development. In my tenure and well before, you're probably witnessing the transformation of this community from what was once a pass-through, and it's now has become a destination. It's all about opportunity. As a representative, I support initiatives which give small business opportunities the opportunity to plant their roots here, while also offering incentives for existing businesses to reinvest in the community, whether that be through a commercial facade grant or having resources such as Kiva to kickstart your business. I have to actually give a nod to our Economic Development Department. They have a wonderful team who works side by side with businesses as well as the representatives, and they have transformed, along with us, this city that was a dying industry. This is hard.
I would do this by continually promoting all the programs we have to offer, such as various grant opportunities like the facade grants, economic development loans, Kiva crowdfunding, WIBIC grants and programs. Promoting partnerships we have with fire, First Industrial Ring Enterprise, like we just did with the old Kearney Trekker building. Also ensuring we utilize all resources that are available from state and federal government. Our Economic and Development Department really does a good job in assisting new businesses by providing a list of vacant properties to help them find a location that best fits their needs, as well as advising all the programs that a business owner can benefit from. A business owner should never feel like they're jumping through hoops, so internally we need to ensure that we have an efficient and streamlined process in place. Part of that is having open communication between all departments as well as the business owner, so everyone knows where they are at in the process and what are the next steps. The Open Gov system has helped with this, but I do still think that there's room for improvement. You did it. I knew this one was long. Focus.
Microphone, thank you.
To promote business owners to continue to plant roots in West Allis, we need to provide guidance and support. More businesses will draw more people into our city, which will not only benefit our economic development, but our residential growth as well. I would work to make sure business owners have access to available resources, including grant information, and also to work to streamline the license and permit processes, which can be obviously difficult. I would also support the continuation of mixed use in small business areas, as these are amazing hubs that really do cultivate a sense of community. Beecher Street, as some have said, is such a great example of this. Station number 6, the sausage and cheese shop, Wild Roots, and now thanks to Alderman Turner, I won an Archie's Flat Top Burger. So, thank you.
Years ago when I started with Mayor Devine the same year, and some of you will remember his mantra was, "This isn't your father's West Allis anymore." And I agree, and he did that, and he started by streamlining all of the departments, getting the red tape out of the way, all the hoops that everybody had to jump through to get their permit or their business up and running. Our latest in the 4th District, our latest endeavor that was successful, and I was going to take credit for this whole thing, and then Alderman Lysak walks in, would be the former, no, not yet, till the 15th. Is the food court over on 84th and Cleveland there. Tom and I met with the owners a couple times, talked to them, you know, what we liked, what we didn't like. They weren't asking for any city funding, which is unusual, so that got my attention right away. And communication, we opened it up. We usually go 200-foot radius around the project, and I asked for 300, and I got a call. Stay tuned.
So I think as alder people, we need to be the biggest cheerleader for our own city. Obviously, in the last 8 years that we've lived here, things have changed. Some people still call it Dallas, but that's clearly changing, and people want to come here. So, unlike when we bought our house. So, ever since we moved to West Allis, whenever I'm outside the city, I'm always the biggest cheerleader for West Allis. If there's a business I like, I always walk up to them and say, "Hey, would you consider opening a location in West Allis?" And that actually worked. In 2020, we were at the Pete's Pops Bayview location, and guess what? May 1st, 2021, a Pete's Pops opened. Now, remember, Alderman Haas, what that was? A taxidermy place. Yeah. So, there we go. Yep. So those are the kind of things we need to be doing as aldermen, is be cheerleaders of our own community to businesses out there.
Great, thank you all very much for your answers to that question. We'll start with District 1 for question number 6. If elected, are there programs or services you would like to see offered or eliminated? And if yes, please share which you would like to add or eliminate, and if not, share why you think the current services offered are meeting the community needs.
I think this is also a great question. There are programs and services in West Dallas that I am a huge fan of. I love our library. I love the senior center. These are things that I would work diligently to protect. But I think there are programs and things that we could be doing better. And I hope I'm not the only one who's going to say this, but I think in the realm of mental health, as far as awareness, intervention, and care, I think there's a lot we could do with the city and within our city to really help people who are struggling with that. And that overall is going to improve our city tenfold. Just because so many times when we've been talking about, well, maybe somebody's dealing with an issue. So maybe if we can get it at the source and help people get through those challenges, it would be a great boon to our community.
I have to agree with her about mental health. That's an issue that is near and dear to my heart we have to do something for those invisible people that we have around. One of the things, though, is when I first started here, I remember when I was in this room and they asked me questions, and one of the things I was going to do is I was going to change the park system, the park over by us. And I got rid of, and they thought, you're going to get rid of all the basketball rims. That'll get all the problems. No, you have to look at things differently. I got rid of one rim. And now all of a sudden, now we have a safer park because instead of a full court basketball, now you have the dad showing his son or his daughter how to shoot a basket. The same thing I want to do later on with our pool. Unfortunately, we can't afford to have a pool, a lifeguard, but can we have a splash pad? You don't have to have the help. But it gives you that same opportunity for the people, and thank you very much.
Council on Tuesday approved the 2045 comprehensive plan, and one of the goals is to reach a population of 70,000 by 2045. So it's a great goal. One of the things I'm personally obsessed with, and a forward-thinking idea to help us get to that point, is I think that we should make internet a utility in this city. Other cities have done it. Reedsburg is one of the recent municipalities that have done it. You know, we use internet for everything. We talk about all these small businesses that are right across the street. They all have iPads, they all have tap readers, they all rely on the internet to use their business. We also have underhoused and unhoused people that live in this city. They have cell phones. They need the internet to find out where's a safe place where I can park my car tonight to stay. Where's a place where I can get some food? These are all things that can be assisted by just having a dedicated ISP with the city. It'll bring prices down, more competitive, and better service.
I'm also going to talk about the 2045 comprehensive plan. So that really is the vision for West Dallas, and it should be what's guiding our decision making, including what services we offer. The community told us they love our parks, but they feel like they need some attention and some additional amenities. The community would like to see things like a community garden, an outdoor amphitheater. In order for those things to become a reality, we should have a parks committee. They would be formed to implement the Parks and Recreation Plan, which is a document that we have to update every 5 years in order to maintain eligibility for state and federal grants. This Parks Committee would also monitor our facilities and coordinate improvements to the park system. Did you know that 92% of West Dallas properties are within 10-minute walk of a park? That should be 100%. Let's add small pocket parks in the neighborhoods that are currently underserved. We can look at things like open space and excess right-of-way property to target for park creation.
Currently, with our finances available to us as a city, I think our current services are, for the most part, meeting our community needs. I do not want to eliminate any of those services we currently have, so we need to continue to scrutinize and keep the purse strings tight on what money we spend, what we spend money on. If I had an unlimited amount of funds, I would like to see more services for our seniors, the disabled, and the homeless in our community. We have a great senior center in West Dallas, and it has been shown that it is something people feel extremely enthusiastic about when it comes to keeping it going. Our seniors are members of our community that we all need to be looking out for and helping whenever possible. But we also need to look at other things such as the homeless and the disabled and make sure we are providing everything that they need to.
I wouldn't necessarily add or eliminate any services, but I do think we need to work harder to let the people of our community know about the services that do exist. Communication and outreach are the most important factors in equity and inclusion. So letting our residents know about the services that are available to them, getting those services to the people that need them, and being a representative to all of the underserved people in our community. We can do this through communication, education, outreach. We have a great senior center. Our health department is great, the rec department, the library. We can use all of these services to collaborate and connect. We can leverage our communication channels to get all of this information and all these services to the people that need them.
Personally, I don't feel that there should ever be a point that we become complacent or believe that there are not additional needs within the community, or continue to strive to meet the needs of those residents. As our community changes, we have more diversity, the needs change. One of the most valuable resources that I think many people in the community don't realize is so valuable is our health department. Not many communities have that. And they have a plethora of programs, from prenatal care, nutritional programs such as WIC, sexual wellness, vaccines, dental programs for kids, support and wellness for our seniors, assistance for those who have food insecurities or face homelessness, as Tracy had stated. The goal for me as a representative is to identify and continue to support the needs of our growing diverse community by providing the tools available to promote health and wellness for all. Thank you.
We have so many great services currently being offered that a minute isn't even close enough time to go through that list, which again is why information sharing is so important. We need to be cautious, though, that any new services being offered are fiscally responsible. We should continually reevaluate our programs and ensure there isn't a way to make them more efficient and cost-effective. One program I was sad to see go away was the Snow Angels, which again is why having a neighborhood association in every area is so important. That way the city doesn't own and coordinate neighbors helping neighbors, the actual neighbors do. I'm fortunate enough in my neighborhood to have this because of Conrad Gardens Neighborhood Association that we have. Someone will post that they need help and the neighborhood is right there to step up and help. That is key, I believe, for our city. And I just realized I said neighbors a lot in a short amount of time. I kind of feel like Ned Flanders.
Good to be my neighbor.
Neighbor, you know?
I have to agree with Alderwoman Grisham. I would like to work to see more services even offered through our health department, as this would have a positive effect throughout our entire community and all of our city. The rollout of the health vending machines is such a great step in this direction. And as I've stated before, communication is key. I would put a focus on making sure that all residents have access to the resources and know what our health department offers, because so many people don't know. And if elected, I would personally be honored if I were allowed to follow in an amazing woman's footsteps and sit on the Board of Health. Thank you.
Thank you. And a button light thing. Okay, subcommittee on the parks, which would be under the Public Works Committee. I know Alderman Weigel's been talking about it a lot. The mayor's been talking about it a lot, but now we have to move it forward and get something going on it. I would hope to be a member of it. I know we were out, myself and Alderman Weigel, 3 weeks ago. That's right. I forgot about. When did that happen? Marty Weigel and I were out a few weeks ago at the Allis Chalmers property and just found a really, really, really nice area back in the corner that has just City Park written all over it. So that would be something that we would like to take on. Thank you.
So when I first saw this question, I really thought about how many people like having city services cut? Nobody? Yeah. So as has already been mentioned, we need to adapt with the times. And we have a great gem in District 4 that's McCarty Park. And as I was talking to some of the neighbors around it, they pointed out the tennis courts that are underutilized and kind of falling apart. There's a parking lot that's kind of falling apart. So this would take no funds on our part, would accomplish part of our 2045 plan is to work with the county to get funding for it. I mean, Justin Belinsky, who's county supervisor-elect from that part of West Allis, he's willing to work with us, and that's what we need to do, is work with the county, and that would be something I would advocate for. Thank you.
And to answer the question of what it's a story that everyone in municipal government, whether it be at the county or the city or any level, all knows about. It's ever tighter budgets, having to do less with more. How do you do that? Well, the priority is always going to be police and fire, so that's public safety. And then the second priority becomes public works. You got to pick up the garbage, got to plow the streets, and keep the streets clean. And then the third priority becomes everything else. And how do we do that? Well, we've worked with Greenfield to merge the health department into the Southwest Suburban Health Department. That's just one example of doing things differently, providing savings to continue to provide the same needed services with less and less money.
I was going to start with saying, how did Marissa read my notes from all the way down there? But I'm a fan of our parks. Greenfield Park, obviously County Park, McCarty Park, obviously County Parks. The county's been struggling with that, but I think with the new sales tax revenue that they're going to get, we might see some improvement there. But one of my concerns is a lot of the small neighborhood recreation has people got from the local grade schools. The playground you took your kids to, and with the consolidation that we're seeing, the necessary consolidation of some of the grade schools, I want to make sure that if a school goes away, whatever happens with that property, and we did that at Roosevelt, so there's still, when Roosevelt School went away, there's still a playground there. I want to make sure there's a park that a mom and a dad can walk their kids to play to, or when the kids are old enough and the neighborhood's safe enough that they feel comfortable letting their kids go to the neighborhood park. So, yeah, parks.
Thank you all. This next question will start with District 2. Recently, the Common Council passed an ordinance to increase the penalties for reckless driving. If elected, what additional steps would you propose to continue to address this issue?
It's a hot button issue. We should continue to focus on traffic calming measures like they've been proven to work. Pedestrian safety is obviously a priority, and while financial penalties can be a good deterrent, you know, most people that are flying down our streets at 50 miles an hour aren't thinking, I wonder how much West Allis is going to charge me if I get pulled over. It starts with education, and also we have to, with these traffic calming measurements, you have to basically force the driver to comply. You know, we can put as many signs and find as many people as we want, but we're going to get more of an edge cut off of that number if we actually make these streets safer for everybody. You know, cars have been given the right of way in all of our cities for years now, and now all these cities, including us, are having to catch up with that. So I want to be safe.
So question for everybody. Did you know that you as a citizen have the ability to submit digitally recorded evidence of reckless driving directly to the West Allis Police Department? There's a lot of people in this room that just look, oh, that's new. So I would propose a public information campaign around the citizen one-to-one system offered by the police department. You can submit that video directly to the police for their review, and it's an incredible resource to help us identify those reckless drivers. But in order to maximize the program, citizens have to know it exists. I also support traffic calming measures like installing bump outs and protected bike lanes. The local communities that have installed these have seen wild success. There's a federal study of one of our local communities that showed there was a 69% reduction in speeding motorists from taking these measures. Without a doubt, traffic calming measures make for safer neighborhoods and a safer West Allis.
The Common Council did not actually pass an ordinance to increase the penalties for reckless driving. In Mayor Devine's 2023 budget, he brought to light that West Allis as a city can enforce a fine of $10,000 for reckless driving at the city level. This is done in the form of a citation. When the Common Council passed the budget, it showed our support for the mayor and the police chief to enforce the fine moving forward. The Common Council did adopt a new law on April 18, 2023, that allows the West Allis PD to take custody of a vehicle used for reckless driving under certain circumstances under Wisconsin Statute 349.115. West Allis was the first city in Milwaukee County, and perhaps even the state, to adopt this new law. The city of West Allis is limited in what we can and cannot do when it comes to making laws. We must abide by state laws, as our laws cannot go further than a state law. I will work with our city attorney to reach out to our state legislators next term to add a reckless driving surcharge like we do with an OWI and make owners liable for reckless driving of their vehicles.
I know we all joke about how much we hate them, but I think that roundabouts could be a very good solution to this. I'm a huge fan of facts and figures too. So Insurance Institute of Highway Safety studies show that roundabouts provide a 90% reduction in fatal crashes, a 76% reduction in injury crashes, and a 30 to 40% reduction in pedestrian crashes. They also improve traffic flow. Reckless driving is a huge issue in this city, and I do support the ordinance, but additional laws and penalties are proven to only work moderately at best, especially without consistent enforcement. Public information campaigns work, but they're costly, and I think that we need to take measures in our own hands and build these roundabouts.
In the words of a very wise former city engineer, signs are as good as the people who read them. So, with that being said, all of the things that everybody's going to talk about, and we've hit this topic prior to this, is let's hit the streets, let's do traffic calming measures. But I do want to give credit where credit's due, because we think outside of the box here in West Allis, or at least we try to. I want to thank our city attorney, Cale Decker, for introducing what is now legally referred to as negligent operation of a vehicle citation. And although some people may not agree that enforcement is the way to go, or fines are not the way to go, I think they're very important that people know that when they come to the city, whether they pass our gateway, that they know that they're going to be chased, they're going to be caught, they're going to be held accountable for their actions. We have so many opportunities going forward as we have aging infrastructure to make sure that these traffic calming measures are taking place, and I am in full support of doing that. Thank you.
As the theme goes, look at more traffic calming measures where applicable. However, the last thing I want to see is a speed bump in the middle of every single block, a roundabout on every single corner. While they are needed, we need to make sure to compile data to figure out what is the best tool for that particular neighborhood. I also think that we need to be more proactive rather than reactive. As an example, when a street is scheduled to be redone, I would like to see a traffic study completed ahead of that project so the data can be evaluated to see if traffic calming measures should be considered for that neighborhood and what the tools would be. We need to continue to promote and invest in the Complete Streets initiatives. We also need to continue to work closely with the West Allis Police Department, and I think investing in flat cameras continually will help as well.
So I'm sure some of you here can relate to this, and I know Alderman Haas had said he has 18-year-old twins. As a mother of 2 children who drive, reckless driving is terrifying. And I know that the city has definitely taken measures to this. Like they said, they've increased the penalties, the flat cameras, all of these things that the council has done is definitely moving in such a great direction. We need to make sure that we continue to budget to have enough law enforcement officers. And we also need to promote and continue to our Complete Streets program, which includes things like everybody down the line has said, the bump outs, the bike lanes, just making our streets safer. And I think the biggest priority of that is around our schools. We need to make sure that those kids crossing the streets are safe. We need to make sure that there are calming measures because these kids should be able to walk to school and be safe. Parents should not have to worry about that. Thank you.
The negligent operation of vehicles, as Alderman Stefanski referred to earlier, it's a $10,000 fine, and after the court costs, it's $12,250. I'm sorry, what?
Was that from personal experience?
No, not yet. And we collect that by the TRIP, which is Tax Refund Intercept Program. So this fine follows whoever crashed their car forever. We'll garnish their wages, whatever it takes. We will eventually get our money back. Unfortunately, the 6 people that we've done this to, we haven't gotten a dime back yet. Our first test of this was the drunk kid with the stolen car from one of the car dealers on South 27th Street that crashed into the Historical Society building's east wall. We haven't got anything out of, like I said, the last 6 people that we've cited. And it's handled municipally. Thank you.
To kind of reiterate some of that, we need to start by just even using the ordinance. In the first year that it was in place, we used the ordinance exactly 4 times. And one of those times was challenged in court. So, and clearly we got no money out of it. So some of the work we've done on the Capital Improvements Committee over the last 6 years is implementing the Complete Streets program, which every time a street is up for any kind of repair, we are adding in, bump outs, protected bike lanes. I know myself working as a teacher in MPS, right outside our school, Milwaukee added protected bike lanes and protected parking, which has really calmed down Lapham. If you've been on Lapham between 16th and the freeway, you can see that yourself. So that's something we can definitely do. Along with that, we also need to work with our neighboring communities, because it's only as effective as when, if somebody's coming into the city.
So enforcement used to be sufficient for getting people to obey our traffic laws. And of course, we're seeing that enforcement is no longer sufficient, that there are folks, and the technical term is probably yahoos, who say, what are you going to do? Give me a ticket? Ha, joke's on you. I don't have a license anyhow. And so, how do you get to those people? How do you get those folks to comply with the law and to think about others and the safety of others? Well, of course, our options are limited, but what we can do is to, as has been said by all the other candidates, to have more traffic calming. One thing to add about traffic calming, even putting a bike lane in on a street is, even if the bicyclists don't use that bike lane very often, it still narrows the path of the vehicle, and that has an action of slowing vehicles down, and that's an improvement for safety.
Continuing on the theme, so there's a saying that function follows form, in that if you make a narrow street, people drive more slowly. The upside of bump outs, roundabouts, road diets, all these kinds of things, is that stuff is there 24/7, 365. We're not relying on a squad shooting radar. We're not even relying on the goodwill of the driver if it forces him to drive more slowly, because people don't mind driving recklessly, but boy, they don't want to ding up their rims or sideswipe their car. And I can speak from now, when we first put the median in at Jefferson School over on Beecher Street, that was a nightmare there, twice a day with traffic, with the crosswalk, crossing guard almost getting hit. We put that median in there, and complaints dropped to 0. So those engineering solutions are there all the time.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time repeating what everybody else has said. I sincerely feel we should use all the tools at our disposal, the calming measures as well as fines, in order to get the problem under control. I can just say that from experience living right by 60th, I know that, for instance, the bump outs and the changes over by Burnham weren't popular to begin with. I remember there being a lot of contention and disagreement about it. but it's worked. Traffic in that area has slowed down. I mean, there's still been some incidents, but the traffic itself has slowed down and become better. The flock cameras that have been added in our district have made a difference. We know these measures work. Definitely the research should be done for each area so that the proper calming measure is used. We just should use the tools that we can.
Okay, should I say the same thing? But there's some changes on the way that, I don't know if people are aware that there's going to be some construction over on 60 of our Hawley Road, where the expressway will no longer be able to get onto the expressway there. And if you think about that, if they can't get on or off there, they're not going to be rushing to go that way. So hopefully that'll help. Some people will be a little upset about it, but it's something that we need to do. The other thing is, I would like to see more people here go into the police citizen academy. That actually teaches you a lot about what they do, what the police do, what to look for, and like you were saying, where to call, who to call to get it, to report things that you see.
Thank you very much. This will be our final question before we begin closing remarks. We'll start with District 3. Recently, West Allis has made a lot of positive changes and is a desired place to live. If elected, how would you continue this progress to keep our city growing? And if you're an incumbent, what have you done since being elected to help facilitate these changes? Thank you.
Me. So the rebrand did an amazing job of revitalizing our community and bringing new businesses and activities to the city. But I still feel like we have a lot of work to do. Talking to constituents, often new residents will move to West Allis because it's the most affordable suburb to buy a home in. But as they advance in their careers and start families, they leave for more affluent suburbs that have better schools and safer neighborhoods. West Allis taxes are comparable to Delafield and Brookfield, and yet our schools are the bottom 15% of the state, and theirs are in the top 15. It's my goal to work with various city departments and the school district to ensure that these issues are addressed. I'm committed to cultivating a community where people want to actually plant their roots and grow and stay.
This was a really tricky question for me because Alderwoman Keene and I came in during COVID, and it was talking about throw somebody in the deep end of the pool. The changes that we facilitated and were part of was such a collaborative effort. I'm not one to toot my horn or say, okay, I opened a dog park. However, I believe the true answer is there's no singular approach to facilitate positive change in your community. It takes a vast amount of collaboration and leadership. It takes community involvement. It takes dedicated city staff, business owners, developers who want this city to be the best that it can be. If reelected, I will continue to facilitate and foster that positive growth and not settle for the status quo. Thank you.
I have kept an open mind when it comes to new developments. Sometimes it involves thinking outside of the box and collaborating with department heads to ensure we continue to attract new investors. I know that this is going to be a hot topic, but at times that means the utilization of TIFs. TIFs aren't that easy to understand, and when I was first elected, I really wasn't the biggest supporter of TIFs, and that's very honestly because I didn't understand them. TIFs are actually a very important tool to have and to utilize in order to bring large, impactful developments into our city. New developers tend to bring in new residents. New residents tend to mean more money being spent in the city. More money being spent in the city means more business sustainability and tax revenue. I also continually spend time to educate myself on the various programs and funding options we have. That way we can continue to attract new businesses and developments and keep West Allis moving forward and growing.
If elected, I would listen, learn, and implement. I'd listen to the constituents. What's important to the people? What matters most to the people? I would be approachable and available to guide them through the issues and challenges that we all face. I would continue to learn and broaden my perspectives and stay relevant to what's important in our city. I would also listen to my colleagues. I mean, as some of you saw on Tuesday, if you were here, That was over 100 years of service that retired, and you have to listen to those that came before you and those that may know more than you. And I would do my research and continue to utilize all the resources available. And lastly, I would implement. I would work to bring what's important to the council floor and make decisions on what's best for our city going forward.
I am one of those incumbents that you're referring to in the last sentence of the question 8 here, and I do it by participating in practically everything I can that goes on in this city. I'm there enjoying it. Sometimes it's not an event that I like, but I'm still there. And also promoting. I talk about it a lot with people. I'm in a woodworkers club in West Allis. If there's flyers, I'll have them out on the table. I'll have them on the corkboard and everything like that. So that'd be the short answer, participating and promoting.
This question is like bringing home the bacon. So I think Alderwoman Keene was kind of looking at my notes over here. So I also would be a big proponent of TIF districts. If you look at the 4th district, exactly one of the currently open 12 TIF districts is in the 4th district. So I would be a big proponent of using TIFs. Just to throw some numbers at you, we have increased our tax revenue by approximately $10 million with TIFs, and it's led to a 600% increased property value by using TIFs in the districts that we've used them in. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have a lot that we can be thankful for and proud of in our city. We've had lots of improvements, especially in terms of development. We're a city that can have nice things, and that's a good thing. And we were attractive to younger people. We're at the right price point. We're in the middle of everything. And we want to continue to keep West Allis to be a cool place that attracts people, to get rid of that dirty Stallis image. I think Stallis is okay, that's kind of fun, but the dirty Stallis part, no, that's no good. And it's not even really true anymore. That was left over from the old industrial days. That's what we need to work on.
I'm going to speak as an incumbent, even though I'm technically not on the council right now. But in my 20 years, I've supported the TIF financing that's helped with projects like the West, SONA, Element 84, Whitnall Summit, Oak Brewing, Blast Technologies. These are big transformational projects that we've managed in this city. I worked to bring pro bike racing back to West Allis over on Beecher Street. Also worked on the team to locate and create and fund the dog park. And then I led the team to locate, create, and privately finance our dog park. These are things that I've done as an alderman. I still sit on the board of directors for a new market tax credit entity that uses tens of millions of dollars of federal tax credits to promote development in southeastern Wisconsin. And guess what? We try to funnel a lot of that stuff into West Allis too. So that's what I've been doing when I was an alderman. I hope to bring that forward.
As somebody who would be a newer, or one of the newest members, I would be so excited to be part of all the growth and changes that have been happening in West Allis. It's really been exciting to see. Anything that's going to keep West Allis vibrant, welcoming, and diverse across all things, across our community, citizens, the types of businesses that we bring in, the ways that we solve our problems, should be handled in various different ways and welcome all different kinds of people. I would love to see big businesses and small businesses, and whether it's through TIF districts and other ways that we can work with the state in order to get them settled in here, as well as different kinds of housing. Again, for our unhoused, for those of us who are of better means, and everything in between, so that we can continue to grow.
No, as one of the newest member of the council for now, one of the things I know about the TIF, we went through this. These people right here have helped me understand what this is all about. But one of the things I looked at was helping grow with the thing that really made West Allis, the small business. the companies that you see on the street corner that are doing so much business, the bakeries, the jewelry places, that place that does the clocks is unbelievable when you go in there. And show them that you support them and if you can help them if they need to. Even at Walgreens, I've gone over there and told them that if they need some help with some of the problems they were having, let me know so we can help them. So that's the big thing I think that helps keep the city growing.
Going back to the city's 2045 comprehensive plan, it really lays out a good roadmap for where we should go. Some of the top ideas are to grow West Allis, obviously, create safer streets. I think we've covered that a little. Affordable and equitable housing, more parks and community spaces. This is all to benefit not only us, but everybody that comes to visit us, everybody that comes to stay, play, eat, whatever. I've lived here, my wife and I have lived here for 11 years, and to see all that has transpired to get to this point, it's just been super inspiring and a great journey. New small businesses that make connections to the community, entertainment that brings us together. I would love to see a second-run theater in this city, being a film nerd. But all this energy I can use to further benefit our frickin' awesome city.
I also agree that the roadmap for progress and city growth is that 2045 comprehensive plan. It was made up with feedback from our own citizens. It is telling us what we need to keep our residents happy and in our communities. So following that plan is going to make us the best and most desired suburb to not only live, but to work and to visit in Milwaukee County. That's naturally going to lead to population growth. We are making incredible strides towards this goal. We've been here since 2015, and when it came time to buy a house, we intentionally said we only want to look in West Allis because of the progress that's being made. So I'll continue that progress by supporting a safer community through traffic calming measures, expansion of our park system, and growing citizen awareness through heavy communication of what's happening at City Hall. When residents feel like they have an accessible and trusted representative in government, like myself, they're more invested in the decisions being made, and they want to stay and bring new residents in.
As an incumbent, I've supported almost all of the continued progress to keep our city growing. I've helped businesses in my district when they have needed help getting through processes to help them continue to grow. I continue to talk with many people I know outside of West Allis to try to convince them to bring business here to West Allis. I support local businesses by shopping at them or using their services. We have so many great small businesses here in West Allis. As an alderperson, I would like to see more focus after talking with many of my constituents on home ownership and not so much on rental properties or large apartment complexes continuing to be built here. They all want to see focus on home ownership and being invested in this community. I want to see more hotels built in West Allis as we benefit financially from a hotel being in West Allis. Due to the lack of hotels, so many people that come to our city for events, especially at Wisconsin State Fairgrounds, they have to stay in other cities around West Allis because we don't have enough. We need to work on that here in West Allis to improve and increase our revenue from tourism.
Thank you very much. That concludes the question part of this. We're going to throw everybody a curveball now, and now it's time for the closing statements. We're going to begin with Mr. Weigel and work our way this way, since where we started question 8. And at that point, at the end of District 1, then we'll wrap up. So each candidate has 30 seconds for their closing statement.
So in my 20 years on the council, I served on all of the major committees that aldermen serve on. I also served on the Tourism Commission, the Community Development Authority, the Block Grant Committee, the Administrative Appeals Review Board. I worked on numerous strategic plans. I've got a depth of knowledge here. But I'm going to finish with this. Former mayor's quote, West Allis is just the right size. We have a professional full-time staff, police, fire, engineering, development, health, but our city's small enough that we can all know them, our staff.
And I appreciate my last 10 years of service as an alderman for this community, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. We're working to make West Allis the best Allis, and I would appreciate your vote.
No clapping, Mr. Weigel.
Actually, my 6-year-old came up with that 3 years ago. Thank you very much. So again, I want to thank all of you for putting on this forum. Thank you, Alderman Lysick, for your 40-plus years of service. Again, my name is Sagar Tolani. Can I finish my statement? Thank you. My name is Sagar Tolani, and I want to be your alderman from the 4th District because I bring a different view to the board. Okay, I bring a different view to the board. I may not have grown up in West Allis or lived all my life here, but I love this city and plan to hopefully live the rest of my life here. Thank you.
I would say the last 16 years that I've been on the council, the best thing that ever happened to me or that I proposed or that I'm proudest of is the 2020 ordinance that I wrote and authored for not defunding the West Allis Police Department ever. I think it's the only one in the nation, and it passed unanimously, and that's all I have to say. I am very proud of that.
I also want to thank you guys for putting on this forum. Thank you to everybody who showed up to watch us. And for me personally, I just want to thank the members of the council that have been so kind, so willing to offer support and advice. And like was stated, we have 2 of the retired aldermen, or alderpersons here, sorry. And a huge thank you to them and their service. And you guys have just been such a great support throughout all of this. So don't hesitate if you have questions for me, and make sure you get out and vote April 2nd.
It has been a privilege serving D3. I can confidently say that I have worked very hard while in this role, and while I'm a bit biased, I think I make a darn good alderwoman. I'm available to any resident that has reached out, and I listen with an open mind. I make sure to put thoughtful consideration into anything I vote on. I put resident feedback ahead of my own personal opinion. When I backed a pilot that I felt strongly about, but majority of residents did not, I wasn't too proud to revisit and reevaluate. It takes dedication and effort to be in this role, and that is exactly what I bring to the table. I hope to have the privilege to represent D3 another 4 years.
I had this all written out, but I've got all these ideas now. Before I run to the bathroom, I want to thank everyone who joined us tonight. Thank you for putting on the forum. And for those who wanted to come and learn a little bit more about the Representative Suzette Grisham, I truly hope that I've conveyed my passion, my commitment to you and the community. I'm really excited for the future of the city. My work, I don't feel is done yet. I will continue to work diligently for you and the community as a whole. And at this time, I'm going to utilize my last seconds to thank those on this panel for raising their hands and stepping up. There aren't many that do so nowadays. So I just want to acknowledge your efforts and wish you all well. Thank you.
I too want to thank the moderators, Stephanie, Noah, and Jessica. Thank you guys for putting this on. I ran because I believe I can do this job well, and I believe that I have something to offer this community. But ultimately, no matter how it turns out on April 2nd, I think that everyone here wants to make West Allis better, and that's really all I can ask for. So thank you.
Thank you for putting on the forum. Thank you for everybody who showed up and who's watching online. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time as an alderman for the last 5 years, and I hope to be able to win your vote for re-election. We have a great city here, and my biggest thing that I enjoy the most is helping residents solve issues. And so if you've got something in 2nd District, call me, because I love helping figure it out.
Thank you for everyone. This evening, I've shared some of my plans and thoughts for District 2. I hope that you can feel my passion for the community and my deep, deep love for West Allis. District 2 deserves an alderperson who communicates council business, that's transparent about their decisions, and is actively involved in the community. I have shown my commitment to being that alderperson through my actions. My name is Marissa Noling, and while I'll be 3rd on your ballot, I hope I'm your first choice vote for District 2 alderperson.
Thank you for putting this on. I really wanted to get out and meet all of you. Thank you for coming. Win or lose, this city means a lot to me. It gives me a feeling pride and honor to be a citizen of this city, which I never thought I could do or have that feeling in my life. I work on the road a lot, and when I'm loading up my car to come back home, there's 1,000 pounds worth of gear in my car. I slam a Red Bull, and I could go to Chicago, I could go to LA or Louisiana, anywhere the hot film spots are, but I want this to be my home. And if this can be my home, I want to help out.
I want to thank everyone, and even though I'm running unopposed, I'm not taking it for granted. And the lucky thing I had was this last year, I was able to work with 3 individuals who, with their 100+ years of experience, is going to make my job much easier and make me do a much better job for the city of West Allis this coming year, or coming 4 years.
Thank you, everybody, for coming, for everybody who's reached out to welcome me in amongst the candidates and to listen to me. I'm proud of so many things that I have done. I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of my small business. I'm proud of the struggles I've gone through. But I would be really, really proud to serve the constituents of District 1. I promise I can learn whatever's thrown at me, and that I'll always have a listening ear.
Thank you all. So this concludes our candidate forum. Thank you to our candidates for attending this evening and for your time to answer the questions posed by the West Allis community. Thank you for your time and your passion. Thank you to those in the gallery this evening. We hope that this event proved informative and insightful. A replay of tonight's forum will be available on the West Allis City Hall YouTube page. It will also be on Spectrum channels 14 and 25 and AT&T channel 99. The schedule for when the forum will replay will be on the West Allis City website. Get home safely this evening. Careful with the snow tomorrow. Thank you again for your participation, and please remember to vote on April 2nd. Thank you all.